Okay, so welcome to our Thursday open round table where the design, the plan, the purpose, and the accomplished sons and daughters meet around a circular table, but on rectangular screens. And today we're going to look at a beautiful quote that comes from Rachel's book, Lambs and Lilies, Musings of Likeness Redeemed and Innocence Restored. And I titled it The Ongoing Baptism of Our Imagination. So, what I did, Rachel, was I put up this quote and then I brought it into the context of the book.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm going to move into the next two screens where we have the blessing of having the author read to us,
Mhm.
and that always gives it a very unique flavor. And that would be our introduction to our time together. What do you guys think?
I
Wow.
like
Okay.
Wow.
So take it away, Rachel.
Wow. I thank you so much, Armando. For one thing, I'm about wrecked out of my gourd right now. I mean, just at what you've done with this. Thank you so much for creating this group and allowing us to have these miraculous conversations around our union and our lover. And I'll just begin with the verse. We love the Mirror Bible so much. The translation is so translatable and just packs so much power, the power of love, I feel like, in the language. And so John 10:10, as we know it now, I have come with the sole purpose for you to have life, life in its most complete form. And to me, that's just the wholeness and the experience of enjoying this life in union, right? With Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But I'll just read I guess a little bit of it. And I wrote, I love this man who healed me with a touch and has no hint of anger in his eyes. He's saved my life more times than I can count. He finds all my secret fears and carries them away one by one. His love cannot be induced or dissuaded. He loves me no matter what. And then I say, you are my exceptional man, Jesus. Your life echoes redeemed likeness and restored innocence within my own life. O life of my life, you are the life-giving life to all. Surely you are the way, the truth, and the life. My heart knows him. When I look at him, sometimes I see flames that turn into something golden. His eyes reflect a love so immense that it holds my backbone together. I say his name, Jesus, and something in his eyes gleam with sheer delight. His is the sweetest name I know. Rachel, he says, and he lifts his hand to meet mine. And when he said my name, I recognized myself in him. You are with me here. And he tapped his fingertips to his heart. Long before you invited me into your heart, I asked you into mine. I'm in you, and you're in me. I belong here in him, and my bones know it. He comes to me in every dark place, and in every dark memory, he is there. His eyes hold mine. They know me. When he looks at me, there's strength in his eyes, and I take some of it for myself. He looks at me like he knows I'm stronger than I might seem. Wow. He has the warm, kind presence of a friend who would sit by you through the darkest of nights. He has gone into my darkest nightmare and faced my cruelest judgment. He has died my death. We're in this together, he said. I find his love and presence to be ravishing. Whoa. Whew. Whoa. He moves with a strange delicacy and grace, as if he is close to dancing. He's as lovely as a warm wind on a cool day. He uses an indulgent tone with me. Taken me under his wing, has he? It's like a fresh nest fitted for new beginnings. My dearest sees me and holds up his wing, always only inviting me under. He initiated our relationship. I've always been his. I've always been in him. I believe in and experience our union. He longs for me to sit with him and enjoy his company. He starts a fire. Imagine royal hands collecting wood and making breakfast for his loves. Picture the grin on his face as he cooks.
He initiated our relationship.
Come on, man. He seems no more handsome than a hot-hearted, intelligent, untaught carpenter until you see his eyes and his smile. Nothing in books can explain how the beauty of his face can heal a hurting heart. I delight in his searching gaze. He searches my heart for himself and finds eternity there and his Father. Jesus reveals that I pre existed in God. That
Mm.
makes us kin and family forever. Everything about him seems ordinary to the naked eye, yet he vibrates with an outpouring of the raw energy of love. The air around him is filled with promise. He is to be felt more than seen. Jesus proves that there is such a thing as a free lunch. Bread magically
Love that.
appears carried on ravens' wings and money in the mouths of mullets. There are gifts with no strings attached. Around 2,000 years ago, I entered heaven when Jesus died and ascended with me in his arms. He's tucked me into the privatest of places. And then Catherine of Siena, I love our mystics. She says, I have seen what you want, and he is here, a beloved of infinite tenderness. Wow.
And so this was what led us to have a topical discussion this morning because of the power of living words.
Wow.
How the beauty of his face can heal a hurting heart. And my comment to that, brothers and sisters, was at my second reading, I had strings in my heart that I didn't know existed. And I longed for this healing. And so, Rachel, thank you, sis, for putting words to areas in us that have still been untouched
Wow.
by perfect love.
Wow. Thank you so much, Armando. You know, I realize now that for so many years I tried so hard to do everything right and to get the healing that I knew was available to us. I mean, I strove for it. I did what people were telling me to do. And it was simply by coming out from everything that everybody told me to do and sitting here with the love of our lives and just, I say now that I know what love is, I know what love isn't. Now that I know what love is, I sure know what control is. I sure know what abuse is. I know what manipulation is. I know what religion is. I know now understanding this love that He has given to us, that God is love, is everything. This love is everything. And it offers us instant healing effortlessly. Like the enjoyment of love is actually what heals us. And people are writing books, they're teaching messages, I don't know, they're doing all this stuff trying to heal people, but it's simply in the enjoyment of being so loved that we're healed. It's way easier than, I mean, it's way easier than what we've made it out to be.
Oh, how perfectly said. For many, many years, I have said that everything that makes me limp or hurt or fall is because there is a lack of significant love in me. And only love can heal us because we were conceived in perfect love, for perfect love, to channel, if you will, perfect love. And every time we are not loved perfectly, we're left wanting, we're left thirsty, we're left hungry, if not hurt and pained.
That's good.
I think too that when we feel we are not loved, we are loved. The love is within us. We're just not living in that reality. It's not like something we acquire. It's already there and it's a revealing of what is already in you.
What do you guys think is the operative word in this entire discussion, if there is one?
For me, good morning, family.
Good morning, brother.
Morning, Brian.
Morning.
It was when Rachel was reading about him saying her name. And I think that that is, for me anyway, I had a lot of head knowledge. I had a lot of faith and trust. Abba had blessed me with gifts, with a literalness that has served me well. But it was it wasn't until I heard him call my name and whisper it that love became incarnate within me. And the intimacy.
I was going to say the same.
And I can't tell you if it was a literal voice or if it was an internal knowing, but to realize that he knew me, that he had named me, and I was important and I was wanted by him. I think that, my brother, is the crux of the conversation that I was privy to this morning.
That makes so much sense, Brian, because the operative word that I had assigned to this has been a word that I've been struggling for 45 years, and that is sit and be still.
Wow.
And staying seated, waiting long enough to hear my name. Hasn't happened yet because I run. There's these deep fears that I don't understand. And I get distracted and I run. I'm the one that walks away.
I think we all experience that at one time or another. Um, walking away from the institution for me and my wife was traumatic experience. And it took a while for me to really understand that the Father, Son, and Spirit had something so much more for me than what I was experiencing. So the journey, led both of us to really understanding the love that they have for us and how intimate and how personal that love really is. And it has changed not only the way I see myself, the way they see me, but how I see the life of Christ and everyone around me. And that's been something that I never even knew or experienced before. And now I can see that and see the good in people, and it's Jesus in people. And it's so beautiful to me. It's finding these groups and the Mirror Bible Study and everything has just really been a blessing. I have never felt more loved and more assured of who I am in Christ, and never felt as free as I do right now, even in the darkest moments that I experience.
Just to add to all of that, and I'm looking up at the screen and seeing, that I sit with love and stare at the lover. And then how it ends, that we're inside one another as one, which ties into exactly what I'm hearing, to sit long enough and know that we're one, so we know who we are. Because something that Jackie said earlier reminds me of, like, when we say, if we don't, like, that longing for love, there's such a desire in the human. It's who we are, to know love, to come back to that love. And if we don't experience it, we will search for it. We will demand it. We will find something that sits as love, looking to satisfy that. And that's what man does, right? That's what we do throughout our life, in all of the wrong places, right? Looking for love in all the wrong places, whether that's things, people, behaviors. And it's when we can sit in that place and allow that to come through, that's always been in there. It's always there. And like you were saying earlier, Rachel, it's the simplest thing. And for myself, on this season of my life, there's so much, like, I want knowledge, I want to gain, I want more, that we're looking for. And there's great things in it, in all of the, whether you want to call it deconstructing, walking in this finished work, the realization. But the thing that always brings me back when the chaos hits is that love of just sitting in that love. And it's the thing that comes the fastest. It's the thing he's just waiting to, it's not, to me, it's like not even it's not something I get to, it's the remembering of it. that it's right there. And then learning like that it's not when I'm always just sitting still. It's not always being still enough. It's starting to come in the doing too, where it's just there. It's just there. It's a shift that goes, oh my God, it's so strong. It's so pure.
Mm.
The depths are indescribable, right? Still failing. Anyway, thanks for letting me share.
You know, the thing when you started talking, Amy, when it, you know, I'm reading and it says, when I sit with love, but does sit have to equal stillness? Does sitting have to equal meditation? Does sitting have to equal the discipline of, you know, keeping your butt glued to the chair, Armando? And Amy touched on it. It's the knowing that he's there everywhere. It's the taking a walk in the cool of the day and hearing the bird song, but not seeing the birds.
Mm.
It's Brother Lawrence practicing the presence and realizing that as he peeled potatoes or washed dishes, that Abba was there and they were in perfect union. So our walk doesn't have to look like anybody else's walk. Our communion doesn't have to look like anybody else's communion. He made you the individual, amazing person that you are. So those things that drive you and compel you, just rest in knowing that you are his and he is there and he is loving every moment of you doing. And just because you may not have the cognitive awareness of the intimacy doesn't change the fact that he's still there, still loving, still laughing and singing over us with joy. I think that's just, it's amazing.
Oh, thank you, Brian. Thank you, brother. Thank you for enlarging my understanding of sitting.
I think I sometimes make too much an effort to be effortless. You know, the word effortless, and it's like, okay, now how do I be effort? Well, you don't. You just, and so it's like it's not when you're sitting down meditating. It's just in your, you know, I mean, I think the most profound moments, you know, usually come when I'm not expecting it. I'm not trying to manufacture it. It's just um, you know, a revelation that I wasn't even expecting. And so I think, you know, because when I read, you know, healing is effortless and being so loved, it's like, well, how can I be effortless? You know, and still that, you know, and but just resting. I think effortless is the blessed assurance. Um, you know, blessed assurance is is relief, it's peace. And knowing that it's not me that's doing it. Um, and that it's there and it's always there. I might not be getting it at the time. I might be running. I might be, you know, or scolding myself for feeling like I'm running. You know, why don't you just be effort? Why don't you just sit and be peaceful? And just thinking too much. Sometimes I think we think too much. I know I do. And so yeah, to try to be effortless. I'll try to not be effortless. Try not. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, Jackie, you are
Trying to
so
be
good.
something that we already are is such a waste of time. I mean, I spent so many years trying to do that and got me nowhere. And once we realize that it's already finished, and when we live from that reality, that's rest.
I
Yeah.
realized too, we're all on this epic journey of discovering, I feel like, the real meaning of these words, to go back and not only rethink God, but rethink love, redefine what love actually is. And so in my journey, I feel like as I go and read the scripture, I'm replacing God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, the pronouns with love. And so I look back into the Psalms and I say, be still and know that I am love. And then when I think of the stillness, I also, that picture comes to mind. He leads us beside still waters, where the mirror image is clear. It's not distorted. It's not blurry. There's no ripples in the water because it's still, meaning we get a clear picture in the stillness of the mirror image. It's just beautiful because it's like the King. It literally is. Simba has forgotten who he was. Now we look in the mirror and what I see takes my breath away because now I see what God sees in me. And to me, that's the stillness. And then it's effortless because when I see myself as he sees me already, born perfect, born completed, born finished, born saved, right? When I see myself as he sees me, that's when the healing is effortless. Do you see what I'm saying? Because then it's
Yes.
almost like um, the lights are on. When the lights came on inside of me, when I realized Christ has risen inside of me and the light came on, what I saw in myself was, oh, I'm healed. I'm clean. I'm clean. And it reminds me of the lepers because the one 10 out of 10 lepers, the one he looks down, he says, oh, I'm clean. And he runs back to the Lord. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, I get it. It's in this stillness when I see the mirror image is perfectly clear with no ripples or waves of busyness in my brain. You know what I'm saying? The waves are really just the cares or the cares of this world or the busyness. When I could get into that place and see the mirror image, then I see what God believes about me, and I believe it for myself, and that's when the healing is effortless to me. It's simply agreeing with God. That's why Francois says it all over and over again. We simply agree with God. Now that I know what God believes, I simply agree with God. But I find this message fascinating about love because it is the hierarchy of human needs. Love is stamped over the hierarchy of human needs in big red letters. Our greatest human need is to be loved. That's why the smallest amount of love deprivation causes wounds, distortion, issues, um, physically, mentally, emotionally. And so love is the cure or the panacea, the tincture that heals everything. Everything is healed by love. And I'm so delighted to be able to go back through scripture and to put this word love in where, in the beginning, love created the world. It's a delight. I'm actually enjoying my life now. No matter what happens, I'm so glad to be alive. This love is what is holding each one of us together. The energy, the vibration of it, the raw emotions of it. For us to be able to sit here together in this space and to share these feelings of love, like the tears, man, um, love does something to you.
Wow, that's really good. Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah.
Can I offer a different viewpoint, perhaps?
Yeah.
So when Jackie, was talking about, efforting to be effortless, or, Armando is talking about, different things, him running away or what have you. And we have this knowledge, right? So we know that love is, right? Love conquers all. 1 Corinthians 13, that's the be all end all. Everything else is going to go away. Love is going to be the only thing that remains. So if we look at it in our efforting, in our striving, could it be that it is our soul who is still ascendant, realizes the truth of all of these things that we're hearing, and it's resonating so deep within us. So the soul is doing its level best effort to get where it's supposed to be, where it knows that we need to be, because that's what it's always done. It's always protected us. It's always done the right thing to preserve the body. But us maybe acknowledging, soul, you've done your job so good. You loved me for so long when I couldn't love myself. But now Yeshua is coming, and he is the sword that is sharper, and he is going to divide us from soul and spirit so that spirit can ascend, and soul, you can rest now. You can take your rightful place, and let's allow spirit to truly incarnate this knowledge of the love of Abba that we will never comprehend the extent of it, and just grow and be and do. But soul, thank you for your efforting. Thank you for what you've done to protect us and to try to get to where we want to go. But now it's time for you to rest and just be underneath spirit ascendance, being one in intimacy and communion with Abba and the Trinity. And just allow them to live and move and have their being within us.
Absolutely. Because whenever we have anything short of perfect love, we begin to fracture and separate from ourselves. And what you just articulated, brother, was the reintegration of the oneness of the human Trinity. Because of our deception into the lie of separation and the assumed headship of the soul, we have been running our lives on the basis of logic and reason. And we have been taught that any desire for pleasure at the physical level, unless it's within the constraints that we were given, is sinful and destructive. So the body in its beautiful design and as the holy temple knows on the basis of sensory perception. And my senses tell me immediately what I like, what I don't like, what I want to stay away from, what I want to draw near to. There's this beautiful longing for pleasure, for being wanted. But the body doesn't operate as an island. It is totally dependent upon the soul's approving or negating the appeals of the body. And we live, or I had lived the majority of my life, in that dual intrapersonal relationship. The body, soul reality. Until June 19th, 1980, when Jesus showed up. I was on a soccer field waiting for the rest of my team to show up for practice. And for the first time, the Spirit of the Lord opens my eyes to the empty cross. I went, "You're not on the cross?" And I said, "Lord, I had forgotten about you." He says, "I know. But choose this day. Will you continue to blaze your own trail, or will you follow me?" it was a no-brainer. I will follow you. But because of the lie of separation, I didn't understand that that revelation had taken place inside of me. And it took 4 more decades to discover that it had all taken place within me. And so now learning to walk by the Spirit lovingly and tenderly corrects my soul, loves my soul, encourages my soul, commands my soul, and the soul is beginning to experience perfect care. A perfect honoring, as you so well said. And then the integration of spirit, soul, and body so that they function in their divine design. And so, I mean, it was almost words like this the first time I met you that sent me out of the stratosphere, knowing that this brother knows something that I see. And I think I mentioned this to Amy. I see you and Rachel and several others, but not quite just like you and Rachel, experiencing the security of the reality of that love. Like no other people I've ever met.
Bless you. I'm a little bit overwhelmed and humbled. Um, but I appreciate your words. Just to kind of piggyback. Sorry, I'm struggling a little bit. Um, there is no more sacred secular divide, right? It's no like, Armando, you're doing great when you're in meditation in your class, in your prayer closet. But when you're out playing soccer or when you are interpreting, you're in the world, you're in the secular. There is no such illusion.
Mm.
Everything is worship. I heard it taught that worship is anything we spend our time, treasure our talents on. Everything is worship. Worship is not music.
Come on.
Music can get us into a place of worship, but it's not music. Worship is your life, just in complete adoration of the Trinity.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
I'm wrecked.
beautiful.
I'm wrecked. I don't laugh and giggle like some, but man, I'm wrecked.
Wow. 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 This is the ecstasy of being so darn loved. Yeah, this is it. And talking about seeing everything through love's eyes, that nothing is clean or unclean anymore. A couple weeks ago, I came across that in Acts, where Peter got the sheet and what I wrote, I wrote about it a little bit. I've got this book I'm working on, and I have a chapter, and it's titled Holy Sheet. Because when you see that everything has been cleansed, then it changes everything. Everything is changed.
Yeah, absolutely. I was asked recently my position on demons and the way that demons um, could be the source of my afflictions. And I said, you know, brother, I've come 180 degrees on that position because of Jesus's words, tetelestai.
Hmm.
And the only demons that are actually around are the darkness that is still within me.
Yep, that's true.
You know, I,
Brian,
I
that was, oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
When you were talking about there is no secular uh, and spiritual divide, no sacred or secular divide. Um, I've just recently come to understand that in a way that I never have before. And for me, it's understanding that it's not what I'm doing, it's how I get to participate in everything he's doing and everything they're doing in my life. And I have a friend who is really struggling with his career. He's a cook, and he was discussing with me how hard it is dealing with his employers and everything, and you know whether or not what is a cook, you know. And I looked at him quietly and I said, Jesus loves to cook. And it hit him in a way that he never even saw that before, and it changed his whole perspective, that he began to understand that he's actually participating in what Jesus is doing. And it was such a relief to him. So beautiful. There is no sacred or secular divide. It's powerful.
Mm. Mm.
Rachel, I think you maybe had something you were going to say, but
Yes, Rachel.
if I just one thing that's just sticks out to me, and when we were reading your entry from Lambs and Lilies, it's that he initiated our relationship.
That's right.
You know, and it's just the simple words of him initiating. We know this, but when it sinks in to that place within, you know, I think of, you know, when someone pursues you and loves you, and you just get to that point where you receive that, and that feeling of just like you didn't go clawing for something, you didn't try to earn your way in, you know. And I think there's just so much subconscious belief of that still wants to reside in the human heart, of earning, right? Even if it's in the small things. And I just find so much power in that, just sitting with that. He initiated it and we receive. He stepped forth first.
Mm.
Yeah, he pretty much did this. He made it foolproof, meaning we can't really mess it up. Love longs to be known, and so he has hidden himself inside of every human being, waiting for us to know him, really. And then he's woven himself, you know, if we could only see, sometimes I say I see better with my eyes closed because I see in colors, I see the vibrations, I see the energies, I see the waves, the light waves, the love waves. You can feel way more than you can see. I mean, seriously, our bodies are wired for this. We have been divinely entangled, and our bios and our spirit are, I think the spirit comes to the forefront, kind of like what Brian was saying. You know, as I close my eyes, it's almost like that song, oh man, A Million Dreams. I close my eyes to see the world that only I can see. be, you know what I'm saying? Where it's a world of colors, it's all these dreams that have come true. But when I close my eyes, I can see the light waves. They look like colors. I see the waves of energy. I feel waves of love vibrating, tangible. I see way more than what I could see with my natural eyes. And to me, this is the faith realm. It's the spirit realm. It's how we're connected right now. Like when I close my eyes, I don't see that we're squares anymore. I see us all together sitting in one place
In him.
in Him. In Him. This love is what connects everything. I don't know. I just I love the title of how you titled this too, Armando, because it has to do with our imagination also.
Yeah.
We have to be able to see beyond this physical realm into the mystical, really. This, even Francois, he will say things like righteousness is a spirit dimension reality. And I tell, my ladies in jail, although you may have committed a crime, you may have been accused, charged, committed, and now judged for it. You're actually sitting here innocent in a whole nother realm, which is more real than the one that you're living in right this second. And I think Paul understood that. He understood a concept that was greater than himself.
Mm.
And that's how I see better with my eyes closed sometimes
Uh,
until I can open my eyes and see what I'm seeing in this spirit. I mean, in the spirit realm for me, and honestly, it got a bad rap. I went to a prophetic church and they saw in fragments and glimpses, but they could not see the culmination of the completeness of what Jesus Christ had actually done, right? Do you see what I'm saying? But now, because of the face of love seated, he's still inside of me, whether I am or not. I'm actually participating in his stillness.
that's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's all this. He's invited us into it. And I don't know, maybe we could talk a little bit about that. I know that's kind of far out there, but the spirit realm is to be part of this concept that is way bigger than this right here. Does that make sense?
Way. Yes, definitely.
So when Paul said, I pray that the eyes of your heart would be enlightened, right? That was before the word imagination was created. But if you look at the etymology of both, that's what he was saying.
Wow.
So what Rachel's saying is exactly right. And a lot of us in this, even in this walk, are still very uncomfortable talking about us being multidimensional beings.
Yeah.
Because here we are right in front of each other, squares, as Rachel called us, yet we are seated. And yet I believe that there are other dimensions that we are actively being about our Father's business that we're not sensorily or cognitively aware of. But stuff's happening. We're being about his business. So I think it's a very valid point, and it's something that we probably need to, I don't want to say practice, but be comfortable talking about with, the everyone that Abba brings us in front of, as the Spirit leads, of course. But I think it's a very vital topic to discuss and to may we even participate in together and encounter together.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't scripture talk about even practicing? Jesus had his disciples. There are things you have to learn to do that, in our flesh that we have to learn to go above and beyond and in different realms experience these things. And to me, it's like, Rachel, what you're talking about is vital conversation. It's it's what our hearts yearn for. Like he's revealing these things to us as we step out, and it's almost gets like stifled in. We get like that fear of talking about what you guys, this is like, literally as soon as you just start talking, my heart leaps within, because it's like, no, these are the conversations that bring so much life. It's what we need to explore together and give one another permission to say, yes, this is. And it is a sanctified imagination that continues to grow and awaken in us. You know, when we're little kids, we have the imagination, it's there, it's been given. We did it naturally, right? We see things, we were experiencing things that were, if our mind creates it, it's real. Whether you use that in a healthy way or an unhealthy way, then it gets shut down when we're little, right? And it gets stifled and saying, you know, that's kids' child's play. And now we're moving back into childlikeness, like you mentioned earlier, Armando. And
Yeah.
that's the only way that we're entering that kingdom, right? Like children, and coming back into that purity of love. What does that look like for you? How do you express that? Whether it is that we're seeing things in color, in energy, you know, frequency, and or are we operating so low and it's been so stifled in us that we can't even see? We have shut it down, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. We reawaken these things by giving each other, going, yes, keep playing. Let's do this thing. You guys, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What's he saying to you? Who are you? How do you see yourself? I see your wings. I see your crown. You know, I see the joy in you, and it's alive, and you have forgotten. It's time to reawaken, y'all. This is who we are.
Indeed.
Yes.
I see that free imagination in my grandson. It's spontaneous, original, and it's beautiful. And you know, as like just like you said, Amy, as we grow into adulthood, we lose that. And to be childlike is such freedom. And like I told Armando I think a week ago, we were talking about growing is knowing, and knowing who we are and knowing that we can be childlike is so beautiful. All we have to do is look at children and how free they are.
Mm.
When they are loved, they just naturally react with a beautiful imagination of the Father, Son, and Spirit in them, even if they don't know it yet.
Mhm.
Yeah, we forget that everything is spirit and that time, matter, and space is simply spirit made visible. The let there be coalesced into visible, tangible, measurable realities.
Wow.
And this morning, as I was going through the Gospel of Luke, in the very first sentence, there have been several attempts, Mark and Matthew, to give an accurate account of the extent of that which has been fully accomplished within us. And I wrote,
That's hilarious.
and I wrote,
That is so awesome.
I wrote the
Oh, that's so
clause,
funny.
the clause, that which has been fully accomplished within us addresses, unveils dimensions of interdependent truths which encapsulates the mystery that unfolded before their very eyes. I had never seen before or ever heard anyone speak about them as indivisible realities. What are the dimensions I can immediately see? Time, matter, space, and the visible and invisible eternity of the present, history, past, and future, but above all, eternity present. The us, oh, the Jewish people, the Roman soldiers, and their respective leaders as audience, eyewitnesses who will bear testimony to the entire human race as the beneficiaries of the ultimate significance of Messiah Jesus, gracefully unfolding the mystery of all ages in him. The oneness of it all,
Wow.
the absolute interconnectedness of the reality of our oneness. And yet, remarkable and glorious diversity. And like Brian was saying, each one of our walks and journeys is unique and glorious. And you guys, thank you, because healing has come my way this morning because of your love and your perspectives.
I don't know where we're at on time, but as April, that was a combination of several names. Still a little bit out of it. As Rachel was talking about what she sees when she closes her eyes, reminded me of the kaleidoscope, right? You used to put it up and turn it and all the geometric forms and stuff. And, so that's not something that I've been privileged to see yet in the natural. So full transparency, I wanted to shut my brain off yesterday. So I watched a documentary on The Dark Side of the Moon, the making of Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the song. It's called The Great Gig in the Sky. And, it's mostly an instrumental. And then there's a female vocalist that comes on, midway through it. But the song itself talks about life and birth and then life and then death. And it's very, esoteric, Pink Floyd, obviously, you should know this. But so I'm listening to the interview with the female vocalist, and they called her in there. She didn't know who they were, didn't know what they wanted. They didn't know what they wanted. And she tried to scat and do different things like, no, 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 no. She tried to sing vocals like, no, we don't want vocals. So she said inside of her, she said, may need to treat my voice like an instrument. So when I heard that, man, tears came. I was like, what in the world? And then as they're going through and playing the song, but of course they had visualizations on the screen, and it's literally that. I mean, it's the Venn diagrams coming together, and you see the Trinity model, and then this going back apart, and it's just like, and I'm just like over here in my chair, boo-hooing. So I guess I would just encourage everyone to see Abba in everything, whether it's a book that you're reading, a movie you're watching, music you're listening to, nature, architecture, whatever. I mean, the smile of someone, they're everywhere and manifesting everywhere, and they just love it when we notice it. So thank you for letting me indulge.
Oh, thank you all. And you're right, we're just a little bit past our hour. We're at 11:08, but I started recording a little bit after, so I think we're right within the hour. We want to be faithful to those who are following us afterwards, because most people are working at this time of the day. But thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Thank
Armando
you,
and Rachel.
thank you guys. Love y'all.
Thank you.
So Armando, before we signed off, if you need some video editing, I'm kind of doing some of that on the side, helping Amy with her stuff. So if we need to trim a few minutes off, just let me know and I can do that for you.
Oh, that'd be great, brother. Yeah, let's connect afterwards
Okay.
and we can chat.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to turn off the recording.